Imagine yourself standing in one of my favorite spots on the planet, Bodega Head, and, like many visitors, pulling out your smartphone. You might take a photo or two, but you also open up an app, and after a couple of clicks, you hear this audio narration. You are standing on the ancestral territory of the Bodega Miwok people, where rock cliffs meet the ocean and the San Andreas Fault runs deep below your feet. This is a prime viewing spot for migrating California gray whales, but there are breathtaking views no matter what the weather or season and in every direction. This site was almost lost to the public a few decades ago because Pacific Gas and Electric, the local public utility company, planned to build a nuclear power plant just east of here. A grassroots protest effort led by local citizens prevented that tragedy, however, and gave birth to the anti-nuclear movement. Consider this invitation. Take a deep breath of salty air, give thanks for those who have gone before, and behold the richness of the view before you. You might pray with these words from Psalm 93. The seas have lifted up, Lord. The seas have lifted up their pounding waves. Mightier than the thunder of the great waters, mightier than the breakers of the sea, the Lord on high is mighty. This narration would come to you thanks to Sacred Ground, a project I am developing as an outreach of the creation justice movement of the United Methodist Church, in partnership with Autocast, a smartphone app which provides audio tours for projects like outdoor sculpture parks, arts organizations, and historical landmarks. At present, I am working on making this happen in Sonoma County, but my hope is to create a sort of template in order to scale it up to include other locales, with the help of other United Methodists, to provide a form of hospitality to nature-loving tourists, education about local climate justice issues, and an invitation to engage in spiritual reflection and faithful action. I see this as a church without walls, a gift to spiritual people who might not ever enter a church, as well as to people of faith who like to spend time exploring the outdoors. There is so much information available out there via the internet, the local chambers of commerce, park visitor centers, and so on. I thought I would focus on these unique things that are specific to a United Methodist approach to the natural world and a right relationship with it. Land acknowledgement, awareness of the challenges of climate change, and cultivating a love for creation through spiritual practices. Autocast is a GPS-activated audio guide which can be downloaded for free for use on Apple or Android devices. Most of Autocast's tours are of outdoor public art installations, such as the Sculpture Trail in Cloverdale. But I have contacted the founder of Autocast, and he agreed that this application would be well suited to my idea. To give you a feel for how the app will work, I've taken some screenshots of a couple of sample locations, and you might want to download the Autocast app yourself to explore as well. Here's a fairly simple tour that was created by a school in Portland for the Whitaker Ponds Nature Park. In addition to the audio narration, accessed by a play button at the bottom of the screen, there are 3 tabs at the top, one which takes you to written information, a second for photos, and a third which takes you to Google Maps so you can be directed to the other locations on the tour. The students, who recorded their own narrations for the project, researched a variety of animals that live in the area, and shared information about an environmental issue, toxins which had once leached into the ponds, and what steps were taken to mitigate this. They also lifted up 2 indigenous tribes and included links to websites for further information. Here's another example from the arts community of Bainbridge Island, Washington. Most of the audio portions of this tour are interviews with the artists themselves. But one thing I notice is that some of the spots on the tour are from sponsoring businesses that are aligned with the arts community. And I believe that the Sacred Ground Project can be funded through similar sponsorships without the outlay of any church money, so that lack of funds will not be a barrier to expansion to other areas. Organizations such as Sonoma Clean Power, land trusts, art galleries, organic farms, especially organizations that have a website to share their mission or a unique place worth a visit from tourists and local folks alike, such as the Advanced Energy Center in Santa Rosa. Now, the cost for a contract with Ottocast, which will handle all the technical stuff that I can't do, is $125 per location for the first year and $60 for the second. So this is not out of reach, but a strategy is needed. In order to make this project meaningful and relevant, it must cover adequate territory. So I'm shooting for 10 to 15 scenic locales in Sonoma County to start. These are my criteria. To be included, a site must be relatively easy to access in terms of driving, parking, and that a walk only be a short distance. A site must be free or low cost for entry, open to the public, and visitors must be desired. Here are questions that might help guide the discernment and suggestion process. Where do you take out-of-town family members to see the sights? What are the popular tourist destinations? Where are your best-kept secret places to get away from crowds and enjoy nature? And what are the stories behind these places? These are some of the sites I have in mind so far, and the climate justice issues to address. First, Bodega Head, and its significance in the grassroots anti-nuclear movement. The Sonoma Coast, for which the issue might be marine life protection. Armstrong Redwoods, or another redwood grove nearby, where the issue may be logging and old-growth forests. Foothills, Shiloh Park, or Taylor Mountain, where we have wonderful oak habitat, and the issue raised might be fire mitigation. Jenner, where the Russian River meets the ocean, and talking about salmon habitat. Goat Rock, which again might be about marine life protection. The Sea Ranch, and a member of my church has already contributed a really wonderful description of this place. Sonoma Creek Falls, and the issue raised might be water conservation. And then some great overlook, where water use, vineyards, equitable pay, and housing for ag workers might be lifted up. And there may be other ideas that you have that I'd like to hear. So how can you help? I'm looking for suggestions of locations using the aforementioned criteria and questions, or simple help with narrowing the list down. I'm looking for photographs and descriptions of locations. I'm looking for contacts, introductions, folks who might go with me on a visit to another church or to potential sponsoring partners. I also need help to spread the word, especially once Sacred Ground is launched. Tell your friends, kids, grandkids, invite them to download the app. Bring flyers to hotels, chambers of commerce, mission-aligned places that you frequent. And finally, or maybe firstly, I invite your prayers. Thanks for listening to this presentation. I look forward to connecting with you more.